Thank you. Well, with all that, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Katherine Gauer. You're running for State House in Valencia County, is that correct? Which district specifically?
Yes, thank you, Chair. District 8.
Eight. Okay. Can you give us kind of a quick overview of where, like, I know it's Valencia County, but what other areas might it cross into?
Sure. So it is nestled up right next to Isleta Pueblo. You're looking at Bosque Farms, Peralta, north on Highway 6, the old highway, down Highway 314 through agricultural land to the very northern tip of Belen. And then as you pass Highway 314, you continue further west. It covers Industry Park, which is Niagara Bottling, Facebook, Walmart, and Amazon, as well as a portion of Huning Ranch. And if you've ever driven south through Los Lunas and you know that big, beautiful LL Hill, it's basically the ending mark of District 8.
Thank you. Go ahead and tell us what your spiel and what led you to want to run for this seat, your background, and more about who you are.
Excellent. Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for this invitation. Also, thank you for allowing me the grace to be a little late this evening. I'm a mom of two. My husband and I moved to Valencia County so that he could open an Ace Hardware. We then were engaged and opened one store. We're now married with two stores and two children. So we are firmly rooted here in Valencia County. Tonight was actually my kindergartner's open house, so I could not miss that. So I apologize again for being late. It was also a really good opportunity, and I think this is a little bit of a sidebar that might be a appropriate space for it. It was an opportunity to discuss with her teacher and her principal their current use, their expected use, and how to opt out of AI programming. I understand the school's side of it, but until they're capable of demonstrating privacy and clearing the cache of student recordings, I personally did not feel prepared to opt my student into that. So again, thanks for making that acquiescence for me. Like I said, I've been here 8 years. I've lived in New Mexico for 25, which, considering I'm not even 40, is a pretty good ratio. I have worked with universities across the world when I worked at New Mexico State University of Study Abroad. I also have worked from families from birth through hospice, essentially. That would be with the New Mexico NMSU Strengthening Families Initiative, also with the sexual assault support services advocacy that I had done. I served clients from effectively infancy through hospice. And I have always been an advocate, which is part of why I decided to run. I don't know how much y'all might know, but Valencia County's been through the ringer recently. Last November, I was sitting here in my office, which is also my family's dining room table. I was going through the mail and I was thrilled. I finally registered my older daughter for AYSO soccer, and I spent $70, incredibly confident that I could make that choice. We then learned, literally later that afternoon, that evening, that our property tax bill had gone up substantially. I learned from one of my very best friends, hers had tripled. This was coming in from all sides. The entire county received incorrect property tax bills, not once, but now twice. The county is refusing to issue a corrected bill via paper. You have to go in and make an appointment to find out what your correct property tax bills are. I was furious. I was sick. $70 was a huge deal. And suddenly I was thinking, I wish I hadn't spent that money on soccer. I don't know if I have enough to make Thanksgiving happen or if we're just going to have another Thursday night. So I started writing a letter to the editor. I started calling around and I became a de facto expert on levy mills and how they're issued and what the statutes are that call for them. And I started going to county commissioner meetings. I was posting on Facebook and reaching out to the DPVC to amplify those messages too. And during that entire time, our elected representative, my current representative, said nothing. He said nothing. He did not show up. He was not present or engaged. And the more I reflected on that, the more I realized this was a trend. This was a representative who's never held a town hall, who's never been present for the 4th of July, which is arguably the most fun part of that job, much less the really hard parts of the job here. And I decided, since I'm already doing this, I'm already present, I'm already advocating for my community, I'm going to try and do his job better than he is. It's a big ask, and I think I'm up to the task. I have worked with law enforcement agencies from small municipalities up to federal. I've worked with universities, as I said, across the globe, and I've worked with individuals in every life course stage, as well as advocating for vulnerable community members and people with, in the worst crisis of their life, right? I was a rape crisis advocate. So I think I bring a lot of unique experiences to my position as a candidate for the House of Reps. That dysfunction is really being felt here in the county, right? Not only did we have those property tax bill, I'm sure some of you have seen, unfortunately, the county also was scammed out of $2.02 million, which we had to cover with our general fund, meaning Valencia County is actually out $4.04 million. The county is reeling. There's no oversight, there's no financial responsibility, and there's no representative here presenting their face, showing up for the community members. I know y'all had to advocate to form your caucus, so I think you'll probably understand what I'm saying when this job is, of course, the hard legislation, the hard advocacy, right? Showing up to the roundhouse for 60 or 30 days, passing policy, progressive policy. It's also the soft advocacy of showing up for your community members and saying, I'm here for you. Tell me what you need and how I can help you. I appreciate that y'all had to advocate for this caucus, for this progressive caucus. So I think you understand that there are times where you need those people to stand up with you. And I think having looked at your historical listing of the community members who've stood with you, there are some really great examples of people who have both that soft and hard advocacy and can support you and your cause. Um, I hope that answers your question a little bit about who I am and why I'm running. If I could just also share briefly with you, and then if y'all have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I'm running, of course, on day-to-day affordability, better access to education, housing, and healthcare. And we could spend a whole evening talking about each of those, but I actually want to circle in on one specific topic that's very near and dear to my heart. It is a statewide issue, it is a nonpartisan issue, and that is fire season, wildfire season. We are experiencing progressively hotter and drier wildfire seasons, hotter and drier winters, as well as the lack of water. Valencia County has the beautiful Rio Grande running right through the heart of it, and it is currently dry, bone dry, from north to south of the county. I know we have our 50-year governor's plan for water management, and I think we need to work to expedite portions of that we are capable of doing so. And I would like to see legislative studies to create something similar for fire preparedness, making sure that New Mexico Environmental Department is well funded, well trained, well staffed, and that they are prepared to fight fires, making sure that the Forest Service is, again, well prepared, well trained, well staffed, well funded, so that we can avoid the crises as best as possible and respond to them when they come through. I'm sure some of y'all went to Ruidoso and Mescalero this past March, and you saw the devastation of what fire, flooding, and erosion will do in quick succession. I think that we're very lucky that so far we have not seen more of that, but I would like to make sure that as these hot, dry wildfire seasons progress, we're taking care that we don't see that we can mitigate it as much as possible in advance. So with that, I hope, Mr. Chair Dean, that answered your question. And if y'all have any questions of me, I would absolutely love to discuss them with you.
Thank you very much. One thought I've always wondered, you did mention water. The Albuquerque Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority has the whole uh, setup with the Little Navajo River, Chama River diversion, etc., that brings water from Colorado River headwaters to the Rio Grande, keeps track of what it brings, and only takes out what it brings. But nothing's coming in, so we've been on well water. Now, to my understanding, Valencia County and further south is not part of that. how does Valencia County traditionally get its water, and how has it been handling it currently?
Thank you for that question. Let me answer it to the best of my knowledge, and I'll preface this with I consider myself a generalist, and I'm always super excited to work with people who know more. I just had a really great meeting yesterday with the Sierra Club, and I want to work with a few of their members closer to be able to answer this more in depth. I do live in a rural agricultural area despite our proximity to Albuquerque. I do have neighbors who have been unable to water or irrigate because the water levels have been so low. So some agriculture does depend on the river. But for example, many private residences are currently on wells. This technically is out of my district, but it's still in the county. We are looking, there is talks of putting up to 300 more wells to the south of Rio Communities, which is down Highway 47, if you're familiar with that. I think that we need to make sure that we are being reasonable in our growth and that we can sustain that level of growth. A large part of Valencia County being rural is independent wells. And if you can give me 2 days to come back to you on the municipal sources more, I would be more than happy to do that. But I hope that at least begins to answer some of your question there.
Thank you. Scotty, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, Catherine, I have two questions. Number one, who is your opponent? Who is in there now?
That would be Mr. Brian Baca. He was appointed in 2022 following Alonso Baldonado's departure. He did not have a major party ticket through the primary, so there was, I believe, a write-in in 2024. But effectively, he has not had somebody run against him. This is the first year that he has ever had to campaign, and I actually think that is incredibly to my benefit.
Yeah.
And just in case any of y'all are Albuquerque Journal subscribers, Brian Baca was on the cover of the Journal in April for having misused his funds from Los Lunas Public Schools. He was choosing to attend the legislature without marking himself absent from the school district, meaning he received his salary, which is explicitly against school board policy and NEA collective bargaining. He additionally allowed his wife to function as the IEP coordinator, a position that she was not qualified for or endorsed by NEA for. And she received a $6,000 a year stipend on top of a significantly accelerated pay schedule, again, for a position she wasn't qualified for. I don't doubt that her heart is in it, but these are the hoops that you are meant to jump through. So, just with those two factors alone, Mr. Baca did enrich his household over $75,000. I think that's relevant because, of course, he is currently my representative. Additionally, Mr. Baca sits on the Appropriation and Finance Committees as well as the Education Committees. And I would raise the question, given these behaviors, which were demonstrated and reported by an independent audit agency, whether or not Mr. Baca complies with the ethics of the state house that he was, agreed to uphold when he took that position on.
Well,
So
okay.
thank you,
My
Vice Chair,
second,
for that question.
yeah,
Yes.
my second question is, I think it's a Niagara that has a bottling plant in Los Lunas, and I'm assuming that's part of your district.
Uh,
And uh, the water watchers are really up in arms about that.
mhm.
And considering that the Rio Grande is dry, I mean, I don't know where, I guess Niagara wanted to get more water. And it was, I don't know if it was the city council or the county commission that said, gave them permission in the first place without consulting the folks.
Mhm.
So, do you have any thoughts of how you might help your constituents in that regard?
That's an excellent question. Thank you, Vice Chair. I am fortunate enough to consider the group Water Watchers a friend of mine personally, right? Like these are my literal neighbors, my literal friends. So I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity, and I look forward to working with them in a more professional capacity. I do know that they are entering litigation next year, 2027. I would like to support them in whatever ways they identify. My current understanding is the water expansion is placed on hold. and that they are moving forward with litigation against Niagara. I will make a point to reach out to them and ask more specifically if they could address how I can support them currently. But they have an incredible team behind them. And again, this would be something that I would love to lend either soft or hard advocacy for, that we need to make sure that, again, that's sustainable water usage. My understanding is that the secondary rights that they were trying to acquire had originally been procured for a different business that was not making use of them, which is why it was considered transferable. So my apologies if I miss summarize that, but that's my current understanding. And I hope, Vice Chair, that answers your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Jay, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Colton. Hello. My name is Jay Levine. I live in Taos.
Ah,
Um, so my questions are basically about what's going on with the selling out of utilities in New Mexico to private equity. Are you familiar with that?
I am trying to be as familiar as possible. I doubt I have the wealth of knowledge that Senator Pope, of course, has, but I'm trying to stay abreast of it.
Sure, sure. So just so you know, the lying liars that are Blackstone, the largest private equity company in the world with 1.25 or more probably today trillion dollars in management, they are buying off legislators left and right. So they will be feeding you lies as soon as they get to it, and I'm sure that's going to be soon if they think you're going to win or even probably not if you're. So they're trying to buy it. So and the PRC is there's currently a case being litigated in the PRC, the Public Regulation Commission.
Mhm.
The thing that did already happen is New Mexico Gas. Uh, the PRC decided it was in New Mexico's best interest to sell it to another private equity company, which is also awful and hopefully won't stand in court. So just so you're aware of those things, they're both awful. Private equity ruins everything it touches. I hope you've heard the story about that hospital in Las Cruces and private equity. If you haven't, you should look that up. They were doing awful things, and luckily they were shamed into stopping. But you have to find them and put some daylight on these things before you can stop them. And sometimes the lives are ruined before that even gets there. So,
If I may,
go
I
ahead.
apologize. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Levine. Go ahead.
No, no, please. You have a question.
No, just wanted to elaborate gently on that. I agree with you and I concur completely. When my grandmother was about 79, 80, living in Texas, they had that incredibly cold winter snap. She was devastated. It killed her magnolia trees, but it also caused rolling blackouts. And my 79, 80-year-old grandmother was at that point recently a widow living alone in her home with no power in the coldest winter in one of the coldest winters in Texan history. I think we have an aging infrastructure that deserves incredible investment and reinvigoration. I believe also that we have huge rural swaths of the communities that don't get great power currently, and that we need to be focusing on the challenge ahead of us, which is the aging infrastructure, rather than looking to divest the responsibility of that to private equity who may allow something like rolling blackouts during the hottest season or coldest season on record. So I agree completely with you on your stance on that. Oh,
Yeah, sure.
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, and just two other quick things about that. One of the big lies is coming from Blackstone and PNM is that PNM needs outside money to continue to do the work they have to do. The big lie about that is that PNM has what's called an investment grade bond rating, which means that they can go to Wall Street or pretty much anywhere they want and get money anytime they want. They've never had trouble doing that. So that's one of the biggest lies being told, that they can't continue without that. The last thing I'll say is you'll hear more about this, but a lot of us are pushing for the SIC, the State Investment Council, which has over $72 billion of our money, the second largest sovereign fund in the United States, and one of the biggest in the world. We're pushing for that organization to buy a controlling interest in PNM, not to take it over, not to run it, but to have a controlling interest in it, so that
Incredible.
labor would continue as it is, everything else would continue as it is, but the Mexico would have more of a say in it, and we'd also get to keep the money that they make, and they currently send to everybody out of state. Well, New Mexico keep more of that money. So
Keep
just
it
so you're aware.
locally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll keep an
Sure,
eye on
you're welcome. My pleasure. Good talking with you.
it. Thank you.
And so I'll just kind of piggyback off of Jay there for a second. The not so silent expectation, at least from this caucus, among Democratic candidates and those already in office, is all hands on deck, all means necessary. We don't support this selling of New Mexico gas to private equity. We don't want PNM to be sold to private equity. We want the state to find a way to purchase enough stock so that when they don't do things, we can go to our state reps and state senators and be like, all PNM's doing bad stuff, and have some leverage because, I don't think any of us have been completely satisfied with the services of PNM and New Mexico Gas, but we tolerate it. We're like, okay, but this is getting egregious. And so I don't want to mince words. This is what we want the Democratic controlled legislator and next governor to do. And, I've said I expect the governor to clean house on the corrupt PRC, and we need to work to restore the PRC to elected. That was a big mistake a few years ago. I voted against it. None of us supported it, as far as I know. We need the PRC back to an elected commission of some sort, directly responded to the voters, because this is exactly what we were afraid of. And once again, progressives were right. We're going to pat ourselves on the back, So just to make it absolutely clear.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I would like to say to that point, the opportunity here in Valencia County is not just to elect a blue, right? This is not just flipping a blue. This is flipping a blue to a progressive blue. This is pulling somebody out who currently only votes along party lines, and getting in somebody who wants to see New Mexico move forward in a progressive manner. Our housing, our education, our healthcare, our climate. I think this is an incredible opportunity. I hope y'all get the opportunity to feel the energy that's building here in Valencia County. People are incredibly excited. We have 30 volunteers who have signed up for my campaign. That is floor shaking down here. I don't know what it's like in your individual communities, but that's a huge deal. And we're already door knocking. I have volunteers who, honestly, I worry about this heat and I want to protect them, but they're telling me they're ready to go out and knock doors. We have people from both parties signing up to knock, to call, some community members who are willing to work a little bit more behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, I'm working a fundraiser on August 22nd. I will share it with you. I would invite you to come down and feel the energy. We just got the keys to our office today for the party, where I will be able to launch volunteers and bring them back into Huddle, where I'll be able to host phone banking. It's a huge boon to a rural county that does not have constant doors to now have literal doors and keys to them. So we are making a huge progress. And I would just like to ask, if there is the opportunity, please come down. I'll share out my flyer with y'all. Sorry, my little field campaign manager might join us. She's a little hungry and grumpy. I'm sorry. Could you just not yell? She's stuffy too. I'm so sorry. We've been in preschool for 3 days and now she's snuffly. I know you do need to go blow your nose. But I would love for you to come down and feel the energy. We are going to flip this seat. And the biggest ask I could ask of y'all, if anybody is willing to volunteer, phone bank remote, or come down for an afternoon and hang out with us. I treat my volunteers really well. I love to take care of people. It's a passion. If you're willing to share my fundraising goals and maybe help ask people to flip this and help us lift, I would deeply appreciate it. And if there's the opportunity, I would be incredibly honored to ask for an endorsement from the Adelante Caucus. So that's my big ask.
Just one little sidebar. You tickled my memory. I was at the PRC meeting, the 5th public hearing meeting for Blackstone. And there were a lot of people who said, why are we meeting if the PRC has already decided that Blackstone gave $400 million worth of shares to TXNM, which is the parent company of PNM, and they are supposed to TXNM is supposed to give back that money, and they're supposed to unwind that transaction and leave ratepayers harmless. And then, I mean, there were a lot of people voicing dissent on this buyout. And yet there was the Chamber of Commerce of New Mexico and Terry Cole, who I think is the Chamber of Commerce of, I don't know, is it Bernalillo County? Senator Pope, do you know?
She's the Albuquerque Chamber CEO.
Okay. So they were there, and then this organization called LIUANA, which is a union for training apprentices for labor jobs. And they apparently, Blackstone gave that organization, what, $22 million or something. And, so, you know, kind of like buying their support, so to speak. So what I'll tell you, and I'm sure Senator Pope can back me up, is there are a lot of Democrats in the roundhouse, but there are a lot of corporate Democrats and conservative Democrats that we really have to say push against, fight for what we want, and sometimes it's really hard. So just if you're saying you're progressive and you want all these things, and we applaud you for running, thank you for running. Just know that there will be headwinds when you go up to Santa Fe. That's all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I see there, Mr. J mentioned in the chat that it has been pledged but not exchanged hands as of yet. So I certainly, no, baby, you're sick. You can't have that right now. I certainly do not begrudge labor unions for feeling the pull financially of. Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Hey, kiddo. Sorry, I apologize. I certainly do not begrudge labor for feeling the draw of what would certainly be, advantageous financial boon. We are a state that is wealthy in many respects. Many individuals have challenges putting dinner on the table. Goodness knows right now, our budget has gone from manageable to $4 in the bank at the end of the pay period. So I understand the labor unions and their stance, and I agree with you. I have taken the no fossil fuel pledge, and I have a emotional, mental, no lobbyist pledge in my heart. So just trying to do my best to move New Mexico forward in an honest and transparent way. And I'm always open to being honest and transparent. So thank you, Vice Chair.
Another thought that came to my mind, I've been in New Mexico about 31 years. I feel like Valencia County used to lean Democratic, and
Yes.
only in recent 15 years has it swayed conservative. But a lot of the families down there have been there for generations. Do you feel that, what are some of your thoughts on that? And do you think what are some of the interactions you're having? Do you feel like it hasn't, really gone conservative, or is it just kind of been allowed to go conservative because Democrats haven't held it? Or and then to tack onto that, um, door knocking in a suburban area is a lot of work. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I can't imagine when it's a quarter mile between homes in some areas.
And everybody has
Long
dogs.
long driveways, dogs, and long driveways.
Yeah.
What are some of your strategies for that?
Sure. Well, let me answer first blue and then transition to strategies. Let me just make a note. You're correct. Of course, there was Casey Luna, followed by Elias Barella. And then I believe after Elias was Alonso Baldonado. So you're right. New Mexico, or excuse me, Valencia County was very strong, very blue. Um, you're right. There are old families here, and that is certainly something that I'm going to have to address, is that there are some community members who have become more conservative. Um, I think a part of it is, and we see this on the national stage too, it can be challenging to be a big tent group because big tent does mean everybody, and sometimes there are community members who disagree with each other. I don't think that it's been malicious, but I think there's been some challenges in working cohesively and coherently. But I'm really proud to say, I think within the past 4 years here in the county, there's been a huge turnaround. The party is growing. The current slate of candidates are incredible. We are working together where we're able to, and that we believe in moving Valencia County forward in a blue democratic way. As far as many families being, from the area, we actually do also have a lot of transplants, and most of those transplants actually are in precincts within my district. Community members who look at Los Lunas as a bedroom community to Albuquerque and South Valley, Kirkland, etc. Those people have less loyalty to political party or affiliation here because they don't know the candidates. Again, Mr. Baca has never door knocked or phone banked. So it's a race in this instance, a foot race to hit those doors first, hit them multiple times, and get multiple mailers out and get my name out, the name awareness. So I think it's possible to revert. I do think it is a big lift, which is why I'm asking for help from all across the state to do it. But Valencia County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. I think if we can make a demonstrative example of flipping this seat, it might be the first step of giving us a roadmap for other rural seats that we could flip. And you mentioned strategies. I have been so fortunate as to speak to Eleanor Chavez, who's incredible. I admire her deeply. She said the key to her race was a door race, right? Foot knocking, door knocking, phone calls. Following very closely Abby Foster's race against Marion Matthews, looking at what she was able to accomplish with a relatively modest budget, right? She had, I think, spent about $74,000, 76,000 on the primary, and what she spent it on and where, and again, her very enthusiastic hardcore door knocking, which is what we're going to be doing, is hitting as many doors and as many phone calls and community events as possible. So I hope that answered both your questions, Chair.
Yeah. One point I would just like to share. I'm a graduate of UNM Valencia. I finished
Cool.
my RN associate's degree there a
Very
little
cool.
over a year ago, and I was just checking their calendar, and they do have an event, a summer fest, Thursday, August 13th at 5 p.m. Maybe reach out to them, and maybe they can coordinate something, have a table or something, when there's going to be people there. I really enjoyed my, drive down there a few times a week down 47. And I've advocated other people like, hey, CNM has been great in some ways, but in other ways it's very busy, very lot difficult to park. But if you're looking to, if you don't mind to drive, look into UNM Valencia, small little campus, you know,
I
smaller
have to
class
imagine our
sizes.
class, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
a
It's a beautiful
real
campus.
real
Mhm.
gem out there. Like you wouldn't even, it's kind of off the road a little bit, but um, and I really, hope everyone with the power to keep supporting that campus continues to support the campus. So,
They just opened a western wing, actually, which is in near Industry Park, near the hospital, meant
mhm.
to be more for labor and trade skills. So, which that portion is in my district. I went to WNMU, I went to ENMU, I went to NMSU. I'm collecting them. I got to get to UNM Valencia now. That's where I'll aim for a doctorate in the future.
Let's see. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts? If not, it is currently 7:31. If you have any closing thoughts, and then we can move on to other topics.
I appreciate your time. Thank you all for your generosity in your expertise. My website is vote for the number four cat cat.com. That's voteforcat.com. I would love for you to visit it. You can learn more about me. Please drop me a line that way. I can respond to people via email. My cell phone's also listed on there. Please reach out to me. I am looking forward to working with community members like you all across the state, and I do hope that you will join me in flipping this seat from red to blue.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We love having guests. We love pushing forward candidates who share progressive values, and we hope to see you up at the Roundhouse in January.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for everything tonight.
Have a good night.